Okay, everybody's favorite, totally non-controversial person, Nick Fuentes, had some thoughts about Trump's comments, I believe, on the Rob Reiner post. I know that'll come up. This is about a 3-minute, 40-second video.
This is ugly rhetoric. It is ugly. It is actually evil. Forget for a moment that we are in a war. Someone gets murdered by their son. It's a horrific tragedy. This is a horrible story. And nobody deserves that. I don't care what their politics are, what they said on the internet or on television. Nobody deserves to be murdered, stabbed to death with their wife by their own son, who they tried to help, and their best friend discovers the corpses. It's despicable. And it's despicable to make fun of that.
I agree. I just think once in a while Trump makes a mistake. It's fine. Everybody makes mistakes. I didn't like that post at all. Some people on the right did, though. I know some people on the right just feel like Rob Reiner insulted, was a huge proponent of that whole Russia collusion thing for years, was insanely critical of Trump. But I still don't like the post, just the timing for sure. I don't like it.
And I do think that, look, somebody like George Bush passes away of old age at the very end, and you talk about his political legacy, that's one thing. Some guy, some producer, some civilian dies at the hands of his kid. It's such a grisly situation. It is objectively awful to make fun of that. Now, if Trump were actually doing what he promised to do, you could overlook the fact that he's a douchebag. You could overlook the fact that he's vain, that he's a narcissist, that he's tactical but not strategic. You could overlook all these things if he was bringing home the goods. That was kind of the deal. And
look, really quick, my first impression on Nick Fuentes is still my impression of him today. I think he's way too idealistic. He has this very narrow set of beliefs, and it seems like he dislikes everybody else in the conservative space. I'm sure that's not true, but he's so critical of everybody. I feel like he probably agrees with Trump on 80% of things. I don't know, some high number, but that's not good enough. And maybe that's just an incentive structure because he's not allowed on the major platforms, so he has to give his audience some different type of flavor. But my main criticism, or at least my first impression of Fuentes, was always that he only likes one very narrow set of policies, and anybody outside of that stinks.
2016, you said, we don't love everything about Trump, but you know what? We're willing to accommodate. It's an acquired taste, but it's okay because he's doing all these other things. Well, what's actually the pitch now? We get nothing. We get no concessions. There are no deportations. We haven't ended one of the wars. We haven't remade the federal bureaucracy, and then he's a dick on top of it. Then it's all about his vanity.
Look, remember when Biden was in, how porous the border was at the South? Pretty much everywhere, but people, I think, forget that. I don't think Trump gets nearly enough credit for just being sensible on illegal immigration, at least stopping the invasion. I think if the Democrats do get in next time, I think people are going to miss Trump a ton on immigration. Again, I don't think the Democrats, they think it's racist to have a wall in the southern border and things like that.
And his own self-aggrandizement on top of it. What is the redeeming quality now? It's nothing. It's hollow. It's empty. So that's my take on the Rob Reiner stabbing. No one should be making fun of that. It's not funny. Who could honest to God look at that and laugh? Charlie Kirk, on the other hand, this is somebody who is my mortal enemy, who he was actively trying to suppress my career, ruin my life, all these things. He got shot by a political partisan. He wouldn't debate me, but he would debate the type of person that murdered him. Someone like me could have gotten on the show and said, I guess you should have debated me. I could have said some smart alecky thing. I wasn't even thinking that way. This guy had a daughter who now has to live with this. Her brother is in prison for murdering her parents, who are now dead. Her life is shattered and destroyed, and so many people's lives are destroyed. You go on True Social and make a joke about Trump derangement syndrome? It just goes to show there was never anything there. There was never a center. It was always empty. It was always, there was nothing inside there. And there's something tragic about that. Being a part.
See, like, that's just way too hyperbolic. It sounds like he believes that, but there's so many examples of Trump showing great humanity. Just defining somebody on one bad, I would view it as a mistake, but some people don't. Some people, I've seen the justification that like Rob Reiner was really shitty to Trump for a decade. So, but I mean, I just think as the president of the United States, obviously, there's a different responsibility there. It's not really all about your own personal feelings toward people, but there's a lot of examples of Trump showing a ton of humanity when people pass away, even people that didn't really like him. Like, I don't know what Trump and Ruth Bader Ginsburg exact relationship was, but when Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed on during Trump term 1, she was a Democrat and Trump gave her some very kind words. And he's done that before. It's just...
She led an amazing life. What else can you say? She was an amazing woman. Whether you agree or not, she was an amazing woman.
Yeah, like I think, I don't know. Anyway, this is not fair to just define Trump by this one moment. I'm not saying Trump gets it right all the time. Like a lot of times he probably is too harsh and too snappy with criticism, but...
Part of it for so long. I mean, I jumped off along the way, but you thought at one time that Trump really believed in America, believed in people, you know, or something. I think he believes honestly in nothing. And now the only thing that's left is whatever people are projecting onto it. Whether that's they still think they're fighting the left or whatever it is. The only thing that's left is what people still believe is there, what people are projecting, and that's coming from themselves. It doesn't exist.
But again, I think Nick is incentivized to be like this. If he's just a Trump cheerleader, but he's not allowed on all the main platforms, what's the point of like going over to Rumble or going over to wherever else he streams if you're just going to see a similar version of a show you could find on YouTube? I'm just speculating with that because I think the right wing is pretty disappointing right now with a lot of the influencers who are being hypercritical of everything that's happening. I know a main criticism the left has of the right is that the right can't govern. Like I've heard people on the left kind of making fun of the right. It definitely looks like that right now, at least in the online influencer space. It's probably not fair to project that onto the actual government, but I don't know. I think a lot of right-wing influencers right now are being way too idealistic, way too hypercritical, and not just accepting that, hey, maybe you agree with 75% of what the Trump administration is doing. That's better than if Kamala was in there and you would have agreed with 25 or 35 or maybe even 10. So, yeah, I definitely think the right wing has kind of its head up its own ass right now. A lot of the major influencers, at least. And I know that's perhaps unfair. Like, I'm sure there are many exceptions to that. Maybe let me know what you think in the comments. But the right wing infighting and all this tension and all this drama is quite incredible. But with that said, I'll finish the video. Thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe. Yeah, have a great day.